Yeah.
Great, thank you. Our opening statement.
Yes,
Uh,
that's it.
Great, thank you very much. This MRL subcommittee meeting is being conducted pursuant to the provisions of the Brown Act to facilitate teleconferencing and to reduce the risk of COVID-19 transmission at public meetings. Ordinarily, the Brown Act sets strict rules for teleconferencing. AB 361 suspends some of those rules during a state of emergency where state and local health officials have recommended social distancing. The Brown Act continues to require that we notice public meetings in advance and allow the public to participate. The MRL subcommittee has met all the applicable noticing requirements, and the public is welcome to participate in this meeting. If you wish to be recognized during public comment, please fill out a public comment speaker form found at ebce.org/meetings and use the use the raise hand feature in Zoom. You'll be recognized for 3 minutes. Comments can also be submitted online at ebce.org/minutes.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. Let's have roll call.
Great, thank you. Albany.
Here.
Thank you. Berkeley. Dublin. Livermore.
Here.
Union City.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, now it's time for public comment. Do we have any speakers?
We have one hand raised for public comment. I will recognize Vaughn for 3 minutes.
I'm assuming you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
I attended what they call Renewable Energy Plus 2022 back in Anaheim in September. And I specifically went there to see what the battery technology is for home and all that kind of stuff. Microgrids seems to be the future of power, especially when PG&E and the utilities are going to charge people like me that have had solar panels on our roof for years, and they never repaid anything for it. The next step for most people that can afford to put panels and batteries in their house or building or office, for that matter, is to go off grid. That presents PG&E, Sun Edison, and all those kind of guys a problem. It's probably going to put EBCE in an issue where you need to figure out what you're going to do with microgrids. The resilience of them has been proven in the hurricane in Florida. Babbitt Bay community type of thing survived. They didn't lose a single one of their 240,000 solar panels. They didn't get flooded. All that kind of stuff. And the technology is getting cheaper. In fact, some of the batteries that are being sold by the companies are called home grid. So I don't know what the policy is or what the staff usually is ahead of everybody else on this type of thing. But what they've come up with or what they're looking into, there's obviously going to be some legal things required. In fact, there's a company called Sonova who's trying to petition the CPUC for setting up a microgrid, meaning take over a whole town and make it into a microgrid. All three of the power generation who are in ancient stance of coal days when you made big power and distributed all over the place and set everything on fire and got to charge the public for whatever they wanted. That's out of the way, but they're fighting this microgrid corporation who's already put in microgrids around the world and in other places in the United States. So if they're not already working on it, the staff should begin. This board should become very familiar with it because 10 or 15 years from now, if the human race is still in existence, it's probably going to be the only way we get power. There's a CNN advisor for economics who's just written a book. I forgot what her name is, but she's saying the days of cheap stuff and cheap energy are gone. Things are going to cost more, but they're going to be more local. And that would appear to be the way to go. Big nuclear power plants and all that kind of thing, coal plants and that kind of thing are gone. Nuclear has never paid for itself. The problem isn't the pollution, it's the cost. Anyways, microgrids, time to get on the stick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vaughn. Anybody else?
Yes, we have one written public comment that I'd like to read into the record.
Okay, Adrian.
Great. I'll start with 3 minutes. From Audrey Ichinose. Members and staff, Thank you for taking this written public comment. I cannot attend in person. The East Bay Clean Power Alliance is one of the many groups and individuals that helped to establish EBCE. We support its pursuit of clean and affordable electricity, local economic development, and climate justice and equitable outcomes for all. Given today's extraordinary circumstances, I wanted to alert the marketing subcommittee to the actions of other entities that pursue similar goals to EBCEs. Here are just a few examples of the many efforts being made locally and internationally to mobilize ratepayers on behalf of their programs. Hopefully you do not miss the important initiative launched by the City of San Leandro. The City of San Leandro's 2022-2023 Resilience Hubs initiative will support the development of a network of resilience hubs, spaces, and blocks, centering the most vulnerable populations while integrating disaster preparedness, climate solutions, and community care into neighborhoods and community serving sites from places of worship to community centers. A second CCA, Peninsula Green Energy, recently invested in a new 3-megawatt solar project to benefit disadvantaged customers. The Dos Palos Clean Energy Project includes inland service territory, affording over 1,000 income qualified ratepayers in San Mateo County and the city of Los Banos emissions-free electricity at a 20% bill discount. Renewable America is developing, financing, constructing, and maintaining operation of the project in Merced County. It is expected to be online in August 2023. Read more at the following URL, which will be posted. Octopus Energy. The UK's 4th largest energy retailer has just started a program to pay its customers for collectively curtailing their electricity. The program resembles the Flex Alerts called in August that enabled California to avoid rolling blackouts, but pays customers for participating. Especially appealing is its low-cost approach to grid reliability. For more and to see its promotional pink plush octopuses, and we're directed to a following link, which would be posted. And that concludes this public comment from Audrey Ichinose and public comment.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. Next, we have the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, Director Tiedemann. Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Director Monroe. Okay, can we do the roll call?
Great, thank you. Albany.
Yes.
Berkeley. Dublin. Livermore.
Yes.
Union City.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
Okay, thank you. So next is Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. This is an informational item. So Alec, will you be doing that?
I will.
Okay, let's go for it.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Fine.
Great. Excellent. Thank you all for having me here today. It's been busy time, a lot of exciting stuff going on right now. Can I check, am I coming through all right? I'm getting some alerts on my end. So y'all can hear me? Okay, great. Just let me know if it gets choppy at all. I can try to turn off my video. So it's been a busy fall. There's a lot of opportunities with the Inflation Reduction Act. It was passed in Congress this summer. Adrian, if you can go to the next slide, please. So we've been very involved with the IRA. In fact, we've been leading a lot of other CCAs and organizing support for the IRA. Now we're focusing on implementing it. And then the third phase will be trying to access a lot of the funding here. So in this presentation, I'm just going to give a quick update on what the IRA is and most importantly, what we're going to be targeting in this bill. So here in front of you is kind of a snapshot of the IRA. It was a very bumpy road to get to it. It started out as Build Back Better, as you might have remembered from last winter time. So this is kind of the remains of it, but it still has a lot to it. It's $773 billion, 433 in new investments. And this is for funding, federal funding directed towards climate energy provisions. It has other provisions, including lowering prescription prices and paying down the national debt. But obviously, we're most interested in that bucket there. You can see kind of a cloud of the largest buckets where funding is going to, the largest being climate and energy. And we have the overview of the programs I'm going to be walking through here are generation 127 billion, building decarb 9.8 billion, and supporting environmental justice for 33 billion. And EBC was again very involved with this. We had board approval this summer. We've been interacting and talking with our legislative offices. We even authored a joint CCA letter that went to congressional leadership. And I can talk about next steps at the end of this presentation. And just high level IRA as well. This is the most important climate energy legislation that's ever been passed. It'll drop emissions 40% by 2030. And again, 400 billion for climate energy. So it's really hard to overstate how much this can be a game changer for the country and great opportunities for EBC. Next slide, please. Here in front of you are probably the two biggest areas of focus right now for EBC. It's the production tax credit and the investment tax credit. I can start off with the PTC, production tax credit. That's a tax credit for how much renewable energy you're producing. It's traditionally gone towards wind energy, but now, as you can see, solar energy is now going to be accessible through this. So this provision will extend the PTC through 2024. It had previously expired at the end of last year. And then it creates a tech neutral PTC between 2025 all the way through 2032. So we have certainty of high levels of these credits all the way to 2032, which is great. You can see the base credit there is 1.5 cents per kilowatt hour if you have prevailing wage, and you can add bonus categories, 10% for domestic manufacturing, energy community, low income communities. All of these can add to the layers of incentives that you're getting here. And what's very important here at the last sentence is the direct pay and transferability. That means that previously companies like EBCE without a tax liability have been unable to directly access the benefits of these provisions. But with this change in rules, essentially, we'll be able to now really look at how we're doing our ownership of these projects. Do we want to switch to ownership instead of PPAs? All conversations we're going to be having moving forward. And the second one here, investment tax credit, it's a similar type program, instead focused more on other technologies. Solar traditionally, storage is now able to be accessed for it, biogas, microgrid. A similar process at the PTC, it was stepping down through 2024. Now it's going to be fully funded through 2024, and then it's going to become tech neutral at 2025, and then it'll go into 2032. And it's a 30% credit if you have prevailing wage. And then again, these bonus categories, 10% for domestic manufacturing, energy community, low-income communities. And then it also has this very important provision for direct pay and transferability. So again, yeah, going to be areas that EBC is looking into closely in the coming months to see how it can impact not only our utility scale procurement and projects, but also distributed energy can now be incented through these provisions as well. All right, next slide, please. All right, I'll move a little quickly to these next slides because there's so many programs here that we're looking at. But I can just give the high levels. The home energy performance-based whole home rebates program. It's a $4.3 billion program. All of these right here in front of you are energy efficiency. So it can complement a lot of the work EBC is doing. So this first one awards grants to state energy offices for developing homes rebate programs. So it'll be passed through the state for homeowners and aggregators for whole house energy saving retrofits. And an important thing about a lot of these programs, including this one, is for low income. There's a huge bonus. It can be up to 80% of the project costs for these retrofits. The next program, improving energy efficiency or water efficiency or climate resilience. It's a bit of a mouthful there. A lot qualifies for this program. It's a new grant or loan program. So $1 billion in grants, potential $4 billion in loans for improvements for energy, water efficiency, indoor air quality, sustainability, low emission technologies and zero emission generation, storage, building electrification. So really a lot we're unpacking on this one. It's going to come through various agencies that are getting the funding that you can see listed below. High efficiency electric home rebate program. This is $4.5 billion. This is up to $14,000 in rebates to switch over to electric appliances, up to 50% of the costs for moderate income households, 100 for low income. These can be for heat pump water heaters, electric induction cooktops, electric panel wiring, home installation. So again, a large amount of programs that are see electrification tax credits up to $2,000 for heat pumps is included here. Next slide, please.
My apologies, Alex. You are,
as I had mentioned, environmental justice. All right. Is it still a bit choppy?
Hold on, Alex. You were cutting out. We missed you for about 20 seconds there.
Yes.
Okay. Am I coming through a bit clear here if I take my video down for a minute?
Yeah, you sound better there.
Okay. Apologies for having to do this. I'll try to get video up at the end there. But environmental justice. This is the $40 to $60 billion bucket that we were discussing at the beginning of this presentation. These are three programs that make up a large portion of that. The Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. This is $27 billion, provides grants to state, local, regional, tribal groups for financial support for a wide breadth of technologies like rooftop solar and other pollution reducing technologies. And it's really focusing on acting as seed capital for local, regional, all sorts of green banks that provide finance supporting these projects. Environmental and climate justice block grants, $3 billion. Investments for community-led projects, wide range of activities, pollution monitoring, mitigating health risks, climate resiliency and adaptation, reducing indoor air pollution, and community engagement in processes like rulemakings. And then lastly, the Neighborhood Access and Equity Grant Program. That's $3 billion, 1.1 dedicated billion for specifically DACs. And this will improve transportation access and mitigate negative safety or environmental impacts from underserved communities. So we could potentially utilize this for something like our EV installation chargers. So that'll be $3 billion. Next slide, please. All right, we have the climate pollution reduction grants. This is $5 billion competitive awards to states, municipalities, tribes for air pollution that supports establishment and implementation of plans to reduce the climate pollution. And this can include programs driving the adoption of zero emission vehicles and buildings, and also the deployment of EV charging infrastructure. A lot of other categories as well there. The alternative vehicle refueling property credit is up to 30% tax credit for alternative fuel property. That includes EV chargers, but they must be located in a low income census tract or non-urban area. So think rural when you see non-urban, but obviously the lower income will be our focus in the EBC territory. And then there's the clean vehicle tax credit. So this isn't something that'll be directly accessed by EBC, but it's going to be very important to our customers, where it is it's a point of sale rebate up to $7,500 for new vehicles, $4,000 for used. And there's also a commercial clean vehicle tax credit as well. That's a part of that. This will be estimated at $12 billion. I think next and last slide. All right, the assistant for latest and zero building energy code adoption. This is grants to assist states and governments to adopt building codes. This is $1 billion funding. And then last is state-based home energy efficiency contractor training grants. This is $200 million. It's going to be providing state energy offices with grants to train contractors on energy efficiency and electrification upgrades. So yeah, a bit of a mouthful and a lot going on there. So these are all things that we're unpacking right now, looking for opportunities for next steps. We're doing a joint filing right now to the Department of Treasury with some CCAs on how we're going to implement these provisions, making sure that they're flexible, they're accessible, making sure they're equitable. So we're going to keep looking for opportunities like this. We're going to be joining workshops, listening sessions. We're going to have meetings with the agencies, and then eventually, of course, we're going to apply to these programs to make sure they're touching down in EDC territories, especially where they're needed most. So yes, it's going to be a very busy year, but again, some great opportunities ahead. So that concludes this presentation. If you all have any questions or comments, please ask away.
Okay, thank you, Alec. Are there any questions from the board? Okay, do we have any hands up in the public?
There are no hands raised. Oh, we do have one hand raised for public comment. Beth Weinberger, I'll recognize you for 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask Alec if he could talk briefly about how people who think they may qualify for some of the home energy efficiency rebates can apply for them. I put in heat pump and the hot water heater and replaced my gas sources just a few months ago. And I'm wondering if I'll be eligible and how do I apply? Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that if the board would see fit. Yes, so the Treasury right now is currently creating a lot of the rules and processes for what these will eventually application processes will look like. So nothing exactly final yet, but I would say what's important is a lot of these programs qualify retroactively. So it means that if you installed something this year, you may be able to qualify. So yeah, it's something that we'll be keeping an eye out. We'll also be distributing these rules and how our customers can engage as we see the rules, but nothing definitive quite yet.
Great.
Okay, do you have one more?
We have one more comment.
Okay.
For, one more hand raised. Jennifer West, recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, this is Jennifer West from Stop Waste, and I want to thank Alec for the presentation. My question is about the mention you made of prevailing wage under the investment tax credits, and whether you know if other electrification funding will also be tied to prevailing wage in terms of workforce. Thanks.
Jennifer, that's a great question. Off the top of my head, I'm unsure of that one, how that crosses through other programs.
Thank you. This concludes public comment.
Okay, any other comments from the board? Okay, thank you. Taking that as a no. I'd like to thank you, Alec, for all the information, and I'm sure we're going to be looking forward to hearing more. There's a lot of stuff coming through. So yeah, well, I'm sure we'll be getting updates in the near future. Thank you very much, Alec.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is item 5, marketing and account services update. This also is an informational item. Who will be presenting on that one?
That's me, Annie Henderson.
Hey, Annie. Okay, your turn. Go for it.
Hi, Chair Patino. Thanks. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to start by first addressing the written comment that Adrian read into the record from Audrey Genose. Just wanted to give a quick update to this committee, excuse me, relevant to the bulleted items that she had in her letter. So the first thing she mentions are some resilience hubs that the city of San Leandro is putting together some working groups and a network of people to discuss those needs, which is excellent for the city of San Leandro. I commend them. I did want to call out the work that EBCE is already doing. That is quite similar. So it is what we internally refer to as our critical facilities work. And so this is looking to put solar plus storage, as well as potentially some microgrids on municipal buildings that are community centers. A great example is what they've done in Fremont, where they have installed microgrids for several firehouses. We are looking to do that on other community centers that can act as resilient hubs within communities. So we just issued in August an RFO looking for third-party developers for solar plus battery backup for these specific facilities. You know, there were 2 deadlines associated with those, one in September, one in October. So I believe those are still being assessed. But what I would expect to see is that contracts would be brought to the board for approval so that we can move forward with creating these solar plus battery backup centers on municipal buildings. So that is well underway. The next item that was written in the letter was a program that Peninsula Clean Energy is supporting. The underlying program there, which this is not a public-facing term, but we refer to it as DAC-GT, or Disadvantaged Community Green Tariff. And this is a program that has come through the CPUC. EBCE launched a similar program in September of 2021. It has a very limited enrollment, and it is auto enrollment. So we have not made a big public splash about this because we weren't able to support a large number of customers, and we're automatically enrolling them. It's roughly 2,000 customers in our case, and it is through a project that we partnered with MCE on. It is a local solar project that is then essentially those 2,000 customers are, you know, by accounting standards, powered by this project, and they also get a 20% discount on their bill. So that is a project that we have up and running already. We are looking to issue an RFO for a local project that we can expand the program, and that RFO is expected to come out before the end of the year. And then lastly, she mentions Octopus Energy, which is a company in the UK where they have, you know, slightly different electricity markets. But she noted, you know, that they're paying people to reduce use during these critical peak times. Another thing that we did not publicize broadly, partly because it was truly an emergency response, and also partly because it was a pretty targeted customer base. But in early September, you might recall over the holiday weekend, there was an incoming heat storm. There were calls for a flex alert for later in the day, asking all Californians to reduce their use. In fact, many of us got the text message on our phone, which was a first for the state of California, and we narrowly avoided having rolling blackouts. And during that time, EBCE sort of jumped. I will admit I was not within cell range, so I missed out on this, but several of the members of the marketing and account services team, as well as the technology team, the programs team, Nick was leading, our CEO, Nick Chassett, was leading the charge. And there was a series of Slack messages going back and forth. How do we do our part? What do we do? How do we engage our customers? And what quickly came out within about 24 hours over a holiday weekend was, let's target those customers that we can identify as likely using air conditioning. We can tell that by their energy usage and the signals that we see in their meter data. Let's target those customers. It was about 150,000 residential customers. Let's send them an email asking them to pledge to reduce use. And if they complete a survey indicating what they've done, because we don't get the meter data until later, so we can't sort of verify it right away, but complete a survey indicating what you've done after this flex alert period, and we will provide you with a $10 gift card. In this case, we had to act very quickly. We needed something that we could transact in a mass batch, and so we went with Amazon gift cards. And in the end, we had about 5,500 customers participate in that and respond to our survey, indicate what they've done. And I think what I'm noting is that this was not something, because it was such a quick emergency response, we haven't discussed it internally or externally, but we are in the process of analyzing that data and seeing, you know, what did that group of people actually make a difference compared to sort of a baseline energy use for a similar time period. And so we also did this, same as Octopus Energy. We didn't really publicize it because it was, again, an emergency response targeted at a group that we felt could actually have an impact on this peak demand because of air conditioning usage. And we did get about 5,500 customers to respond, which we thought that we felt that was a pretty amazing response for our first time activity in this area. So sorry, that was slightly long-winded, but I realize it is pretty exciting news to share with this group. So I'll move on now to, unless there's questions, I'll move on to the presentation. Okay, seeing none. Oh yeah, you control it, Adrian. Could you move to the next slide, please? Trying to hit my down arrow. So this is just a quick update for you on our team. We are continually expanding. Wanted to give you an update. I know this doesn't impact any of the cities that are on the call right now, but we did just complete our October Renewable 100 transition. So I wanted to share the most updated metrics. And then look at a couple of the milestones for the last quarter of this calendar year. We could go to the next slide, please. So I think last time I spoke to you, we had 3 recent hires. This time we have 2 more recent hires. Some of this is backfill. Some of this is sort of new positions due to just growing demand and additional work that we're doing. So we previously had a Connected Communities manager. This person was previously on the programs team. Because the portfolio of projects under Connected Communities are largely about bill affordability and sort of customer support for those most vulnerable communities at risk of disconnect, which is all sort of payment related. This position has moved over to report into our Director of Account Services, that's Kelly Brezovac. And so Eleanor Smith will be joining us in mid-November. We're very excited to bring her on board and start having her spearhead those portfolio of projects underneath Connected Communities. We also just recently, this week, had Alvin Lin join us as an account services analyst. So his focus is really going to be on a lot of those commercial, and we sort of batch municipal in there, requests for bill analysis, product default change analysis. There's a lot of quantitative work that goes into this role, and Alvin has jumped right in, and we're very excited to have him on the team. Next slide, please. So now I'm switching over to the October transition. So this was Berkeley, Dublin, and San Leandro, only non-residential. In Emeryville, they did both residential and non-residential. And essentially, you know, we're looking here at the opt-out and remain on, meaning stay on Bright Choice, do not move me onto Renewable 100 numbers. And these are comparing it to an earlier point in August. So we looked at August as sort of our base case. What was that change? And we're going to attribute that change to this transition and default product. And so when I last reported, it was just the end of August. We had just started our outreach. The numbers were pretty low. You can see they really didn't go up too much, except in that remain on column. So there you see we have informed customers who are making a choice, and that's what we offer them. You can have a discounted product that is going to be 100% clean by 2030, or you can have the Renewable 100 and pay a small premium. And so we see very little opt-out, and we have, you know, not quite as high as previous rounds, but we still have, you know, anywhere from nearly 2 to over 4% of our customers choosing to remain on the Bright Choice product. And given that these are non-residential commercial customers, that makes sense that from a business perspective, you might need to be managing your budget in a different way and retain that discount. Next slide, please. I did want to just make a note that the way our policy is set up, there has to be a request for a default product change 6 months in advance of the next implementation date. That deadline for requests has passed, so we know that we will not have any default transitions happening in the next phase, which is March 2023. If jurisdictions, and I know Union City is looking at this, for example, if jurisdictions want to be part of the next phase, which would be October 2023, that request needs to come to our board for approval by April of next year. So April next year in order to be transitioned in October, about a year from now. So just a quick reminder. All right, next slide, please. Okay, I think here now we're moving into our Q4 updates. So Stockton, of course, asked to join our JPA. The board has approved this, and so staff is updating our implementation plan. It's an amendment that we submit to the PUC by the end of this calendar year. And then we have the 1-year wait period until we can serve a new jurisdiction. And so we are in the process of doing this. We went through the same process for Newark, Pleasanton, and Tracy. So we're fairly familiar with it, but it's updating, what do you expect your load to be? What is your RA requirements going to be? Just making sure that we're looking ahead to all of those conditions that will enable us to serve a new jurisdiction, especially one as large as Stockton. We also had some of our marketing team go out to visit Stockton to sort of develop an initial library of imagery to reflect the area. And they've also scheduled meetings with some local staff to learn more about the local media channels, events, and sort of get a sense of the general customer sentiment as we extend our service territory further into San Joaquin County. Next slide, please. We are also doing a lot of programs marketing as we go into the last quarter of the year. We had a robust email campaign. I said had because we've been doing it, but it's still ongoing. A big email campaign for Resilient Home, which is our solar plus storage. It was segmented by usage as well as location of the customer. So if the customer is in what's termed a high threat fire zone, and this is primarily sort of like ridges of hills where it's most windy, they received some different messaging. We had great open rates. Some because we did multiple touches in the same segments, some were as high as 90%, which is somewhat unheard of. But what this is telling us sort of across the board, we've been looking at what are the open rates for like mass emails that are coming out from EBCE, and many of them are over the 50% range, which is great. So our customers are responding to our outreach, they're opening our email, they're seeing what information we're providing, as well as calls to action for things like solar plus storage. We are starting some early outreach later this month for the Help eHomes program. This is the partnership with Block Power and Revalue IO. So it's for low to moderate income households where we are giving some level of assistance, but it is in fact open to market rate as well, but just without the same level of financial assistance from us. So what we're looking to do is achieve 60 whole home energy efficiency and electrification upgrades within that low to moderate income household target population. And we'll be doing a sort of broader launch later, probably early next year, but we're having this soft launch initially in November. Next slide, please. We also have something called the percentage of income payment plan. This is one of those things that will probably get rolled into connected communities as that manager, Eleanor, comes up to speed. So PIP, as we call it, it's sort of like 80% baked at this point. We're still waiting for a decision from the PUC on a proposal from PG&E about how this is going to appear and be applied to a customer bill. But in essence, it caps the amount that a customer would pay month to month on their utility bill. So it would only be a percentage of their income. There's two levels, kind of the quote unquote low, like upper level is, I think, just care requirements. If you want to basically restrict your payment even further, you need to be, below that low income threshold of care. This is one as well that we will do some outreach, but it's only 700 to 800 customer spots. And there are eligibility requirements that are very targeted. So this will not be a mass market campaign to get customer enrollment. It will be very targeted. but we will do email outreach and perhaps some direct mail so that we can recruit those 700 customers and perhaps even develop a wait list so that as spots open up, we can bring new customers into the program and they can benefit from this kind of structured payment rate support. That one, we're still waiting for the approval from the CPUC, and then we need to update all of our back end work. So I think maybe early next year, we might begin the outreach for enrollment in this program. Next slide, please. And then under the account services, we do have, so CAP was money from the state that basically wiped out outstanding debt for certain customers that had accrued debt between a specific time period. CAP 2.0 is just they sort of got the next tranche of debt. So this is for debt accrued between March 2020 and December 2021. And it looks like there's approximately 4.2 million that EBCE customers could have covered by CAP funding. So we've submitted that application as of the end of October, and we'll be looking for those funds to come in, kind of the first quarter of next year. That is a transaction, the money goes to PG&E, the PG&E gives a lump sum to us, and then we basically, take that arrearage off the customer bills. And so they will see if they've continued to accrue debt, they will still have that debt after December 2021, but it will be reduced by the amount allocated to them under CAP 2.0. And then the last thing is that, every year PG&E does potential rate changes. They have, for the last several years, been delayed. It does look like we will have rate changes in January. However, we will continue to maintain our value proposition with the 3% discount on Bright Choice and the small premium for Renewable 100. We are seeing some interesting things where the PCIA is going negative. So we're just looking to see what that impact is on customer bills, but we will continue. We're not making changes to our billing engine, and we will make certain that we maintain our value proposition. And that's something that would appear on a customer bill from the EBCE side in probably February of 2023. If these are, this is still, again, waiting approval from the CPUC. So there's still a chance that these rate changes will be delayed. And I believe that is the last slide in my deck.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Annie. Adrian, do we have any comments from the board? Okay, none. And okay, so, what about from the audience?
There are no hands raised for public comment. Okay,
thank you. Just want to say that's a lot of stuff. Also, I'm very excited about the Stockton portion, though. I mean, this is I think when I came on board, I think we were just starting the Tracy expansion. So I was still new, and this is a lot. EBC is very involved. It's a lot of stuff to learn. So I really didn't grasp it, but now I'm just like, whoa, this is so interesting. So I'm really looking forward to it. Keep giving us these updates. So from what I see here, that was the last item. Now we have item 6, committee member and staff announcements, including requests to place items on future board agendas. Do we have any? Oh, Member Monroe.
This works too. I just wanted to really appreciate the high quality of the reports. I mean, the work itself is fantastic. I really appreciate it. But these reports were to the point, well crafted, and really just demonstrated not only the quality of the work, but also the quality of the ability to communicate. And both of those things matter. So thank you.
Yes, definitely. Those of you that know me know that I really do not like long presentations, but I don't mind them if there's good information in there. So, okay, Director Tiedemann.
I just want to echo my fellow Board members, it's always hard to report back on EBC stuff because these reports are so dense with information. Sometimes I try and take notes, and sometimes I give up because the PowerPoints have it in much better presentation than I ever could write it down. So much appreciated.
Yeah, sometimes I hear myself, I know it up here, but how do I put it out so everybody else can understand it? Because unless you're here at these meetings, you can't grasp the all this knowledge here. So yeah, kudos to you both. Adrian and I were talking earlier this week, and we were actually kind of worried that we wouldn't have much of an agenda, but look what we fit in 45 minutes, all this information. Great work, everybody. And if there's nothing else, I'm going to call this meeting adjourned until next time. And let's get through this election in one piece, and we will survive.
One way or another, we'll survive. Amen.
Yes.
Let's get through this election and see you all on the other side.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.